Happy Sunday, apprentices. So is that a bulge in your pants? Or is that just a Bollinger Band on your charts? That's what's next on today's show. Trading Forex or any other financial instrument carries substantial risk. The topics discussed on this show are the views of the host and the producers only. You should consult with your financial planner before investing in Forex or any other financial instrument. Don't be a dumbass.
Welcome to the Day Trading Plumber, episode 45. I'm Matt Simpson, and I am terrible at my job.
So, I gotta give you shit, right?
I would expect nothing less.
I'm Clayton Allen, host of the Day Trading Plumber, and that's Matt Simpson, the producer. So we finally figured out how we're not recording out of a tin can anymore because good old Matt forgot to turn on, what was it again? The inline switch on your recording
The
device?
input, it changed the source. What?
Thanks, by the way.
Just know that I hate myself.
Were these in a hot cooler before you brought them?
Shut your mouth, dude.
Dude, this tastes
You live across the border. I have to get through a check just to get to your damn house. All right?
This tastes like beer you left in a cooler.
It does
for a
not.
week.
You shut your mouth. It's Stella Artois. It's Belgian.
Stella Artois. No, I like Stella.
She's pretty hot.
Who are you talking about?
I don't know, a Belgian girl.
Yeah, well,
It is a little
to
warm,
each their
isn't
own.
it? To each his own.
It's skunky.
Mm-mm.
I don't know.
It's not skunky.
Well, that's enough about beer. Let's talk about Bollinger Bands. Or do you want to just keep going on how you massively suck as a producer?
I suck as a producer. I can't open beer bottles. But why the hell does this 11.2 ounce bottle of Stella, which is a fantastic beer, have perforated wrapper around the top? What is that about?
I think they could probably cut a little bit of cost off just removing that because it's annoying. Beer should not have a wrapper around the top. That's dedicated to the wine guys. So great AMA tonight in the Telegram channel. There was a couple new recruits this week. The Bollinger Band squeeze, a very popular strategy online. Now, doing a little research today, because back in my day when I was seeking out trading strategies, I've come across the Bollinger Band squeeze. Now, I remembered it different than when I was looking at what some guys on YouTube were teaching. Basically, what you're looking for is the upper and lower band getting very narrow, meaning not a lot of volume. These strategies work in equities just as well as they do in Forex. It's a volume indicator. A lot of people use Bollinger Bands. And trend traders will look for breakouts like tonight's AMA. We were trying to box price in when it got narrow, and as soon as it broke out of that box, we were trying to trade in the direction of that breakout.
You mean the training that you offer for an hour each week for $20 a month? You also get signal service with?
Yeah, but hopefully the training's making up for the poor signals. The last 2 weeks have been murder. I was talking to you today about it, driving home from Beaver Creek, about building these courses, coming up with content, immersing myself back into all of the angles of Forex and trading. And, I'm even looking at some equity stuff. It's definitely affecting my vision on the charts. It's just, I'm not in my zone. This is one of the dangers when you're trading, right? And why you probably find most traders superstitiously don't tell people their strategies. They don't involve themselves getting too down the wormhole of other people's strategies. Because once you have something that works and you're successful, you feel like, okay, I got it. Don't mess with it. Don't take your socks off. Kind of like the baseball player is crushing it at the plate. Like, hey man, I don't know. I'm just not going to change anything. Trading, you find a lot of that superstition, but there's a lot of legitimacy to it because I'm a perfect example. Before I really started immersing myself into building courses, the podcast, inviting people to watch my trade signals, I was an above average trader. And, when we started doing the copy, we had a really good 18-month run. And we've all heard that story, letting the robot trade for the first half. And then I felt like I could do a lot better. And we did do better, but we got caught up. And I don't think I fully recovered from the damage I took mentally through that. And then now I'm experiencing that all again with starting the new Journeyman channel, trying to adjust to a way smaller account, trying to, I guess, provide a service for new or somewhat experienced traders and be very transparent with those signals.
What's the value of that account that you're trading?
It's down to 1,600. I started at 4,800.
Well, a lot of people can come up with 1,600 bucks.
Right. So the whole point was, let's trade a really small account. Let's try to grow that account together while I give people in that channel, training. Might be strategies I'm using in the channel. It might be strategies that we test later. I feel like there's no one else out there providing signals and teaching you strategies that you're, because ultimately, hopefully everyone that joins the channel becomes a good trader. And my goal is I want to be the one to help them get there. And if they continue to copy my trades or go on and do their own trading and not need my signals, because like I was saying, eventually you will reach a point where you found your own way. You might have learned some strategies from me, but you've tweaked them or where it makes sense to you and it's starting to show on your balance. And then you'll move into where you don't want other people's opinion, right? Like you won't go on TradingView and look for confirmation bias because you're confident in your strategy. You no longer need to go, I wonder what so-and-so thinks on TradingView if this is a good buy or not. You just get into that zone. And I'm obviously not in that zone because the last 2 weeks just feel like every trade I put on is a battle. And, it's nothing new. I've been through these funks before, and you just lower your trade size, just go back to the strategies that you're using, and just go through a slump.
From the Bollinger Bands website, www.bollingerbands.com, which is a great URL because, it's the thing.
It is his last name,
John Bollinger, CFA, CMT. Do you know what those certs are?
CFA is Certified Financial Advisor. CMT is that super accreditation that they all shoot for, where you got to pass 3 different series of tests. It basically is the creme de la creme, hopefully I said that right, of financial advisors.
Creme de la creme. It's French.
It's so prestigious that people even put on their name when they're trying to get it. Like they've passed one level of
like
it.
CMA candidate. Like
PhD
candidate.
I'm almost there. It's like I'm almost a master plumber. I tried the test once and failed it. So John Bollinger's website, would you drum up on there?
Bollinger Bands are a technical trading tool created by John Bollinger in the early 1980s. They arose from the need for adaptive trading bands and the observation that volatility was dynamic, not static, as was widely believed at the time.
Okay.
Bollinger Bands can be applied in all the financial markets, including equities, forex, commodities, and futures. Bollinger Bands can be used in most time frames from very short time periods to hourly, daily, weekly, or monthly. Bollinger Bands answer a question: are prices high or low on a relative basis? By definition, price is high at the upper band and price is low at the lower band.
Meaning oversold and overbought.
Correct. I knew that actually.
RSI is also highly revered as oversold, overbought status on 70 and 30.
That bit of information is incredibly valuable. It is even more powerful if combined with other tools such as other indicators for confirmation.
Yeah, so Bollinger Bands, you probably find thousands of strategies built around it. My experience with them, for those of you who have never seen it or, used one, you have 3 lines on your chart. The middle one is basically a moving average. So I think the default is 20 periods back. So if you're on a 1-hour chart, 20 1-hour candles back, the high, the low, the average, you'll have a middle line. Then you have the upper band and the lower band, which is the default settings are a standard deviation of 2 of that middle line, which statistically puts the at standard deviation of 2, statistically 95% of the price will be below or above those lines. So it's a great place, like your definition that, sound like you're reading a book for our listeners. I'm sure they really love, just like, how you hate when it looks like they're reading a teleprompter on TV.
Well, I was definitely reading, but they don't want to hear you try to read.
No. It's a very good level, just like it said, right? Is price high, right? If we think of these cliches in trading, buy low, sell high, right? So just having the Bollinger Band indicator on, now you have a line that's kind of telling you oversold, overbought. So you don't want to buy high and you don't want to sell low. The Bollinger Band kind of gives you that placeholder on the chart. Now, again, like what it said, most of the best strategies, Bollinger Band indicators, is in conjunction with other confirming type like oscillator or stochastic. If you're a trend trader, the MACD, those type of indicators. However, I've created 2 highly probable strategies, just Bollinger Bands and price action. One is, I guess you could kind of call it with the trend, a trend trading strategy where you can identify the trend by using a larger time frame moving average. Most common one is a 200 period moving average. If price is above it, it's in an uptrend. One of the things that get most new traders confused is if you go down to a 15-minute chart, it's downtrend. You go up to a daily chart, it's an uptrend. So which way's the trend? So that's what confuses traders that first get in, because they read this on paper and then like, well, the trend's different on each time frame, and it very well could be. But what strategy is it? A 15-minute strategy? Intraday moves? How I use the Bollinger Band, because it's no secret, I'm a mean reversion. And just like old John Bollinger's description there, when price gets above the top line, it tends to want to get back to that middle line. So I will trade back to that mean. Doesn't work every time, but like in our example last week's AMA, where we were really hard, we couldn't lose to try to get an example of a rollover. Felt like, man, just lose one. And then our example tonight where we were looking for it to break out, right? Because when Bollinger Bands get really narrow, you look for price to explode out, because think of price as like energy. And when it gets really narrow and there's not a lot of volatility, it's getting pent up. And it just wants to shoot out. That
was the Euro GBP we looked at tonight.
Yeah, I mean, we were doing a lot better on Euro US dollar. But, it's good to try it on all pairs, because there's so many layers to trading. One size doesn't fit all. I know a lot of us trading educators and people out there selling stuff try to make it fit in a box. It seems simple. It seemed like I'm the guru that could just hand you the golden ticket. But it's just not the case, right? You have to make whatever you're selling presentable, look easy, so people are willing to buy. But at the end of the day, it's just not that way. You're going to have to take the knowledge you're learning, try it out, test it a couple hundred times, on each pair that you're thinking of trading on. What's so great is a lot of these indicators, you can optimize the settings. So I seen a very popular strategy, a very popular guy on YouTube teaching a Bollinger Band strategy where he changes the standard deviation to 3. Now you're not going to get as many signals, but now you're finding price really outside the mean, right? On, fundamental news, flash. I find, some of the more volatile pairs, GBP, JPY, for instance, that might work a little better, but you're just going to have to try it out. Sometimes you can really just filter your way out of not taking a trade at all.
I understand why there'd be more volatility in the exotics. I think that's obvious intuitively, but why would the pound and the yen be more volatile than the euro and the USD?
It's just less liquidity.
Okay. Is it chunks of transactions at once and then nothing?
Yeah, and I think it's more speculative traders moving it than business being done between the two countries.
So it's a bunch of you people.
Right. I don't really want to say retail traders because retail traders statistically are only like 9% of the volume.
It's institutional speculators.
Right. And, they're looking for good opportunities. And quite honestly, the GJ is probably the scalper's dream pair. Most scalpers, because it moves quite a bit. And, it moves hard and fast. Could be very volatile. Now, position traders hate that pair because it will go sideways for a while. But if you're looking for quick 10, 15, 50 pip moves, there's no better pair. There you go, right? We're talking about how many layers there are. Having started scratching the surface in equities, one of the early on daunting part of really trying to buckle down, because, I feel like if we're going to have a well-rounded show with day trading Plumber, right? And me being a full-time trader now, I think delving, it would behoove us to at least myself have a common knowledge of equities trading.
It would be what of us?
Behoove us. Is that correct?
You got it correct.
Mr. Fanatic.
It just means I'm listening.
So one of the early daunting parts about it is, what instrument do I trade? There's so many stocks. For instance.
Hold on. There's so many stocks, there are so many instruments. There's so many options.
Yeah. Well, think of an instrument as every stock.
Okay.
Right? There's classifications.
Correct.
Penny stocks, commodities, then you start getting into options and binary options, and then, but equities, there's classifications within it.
Yeah, mid-cap and growth.
Right. Then, income stocks where, pay good dividends, but they typically don't increase in value. It's all in how the company's being ran. And it gives investors a lot of different angles. But what I like about equities is generally everyone's on the same team. Buy and it all goes up, right? We all win. And then, of course, you have those those short only people out there that are just waiting for be oversold and then or overbought, and let's take this stock down to nothing. I came across this stock that just by dumb chance, because my former employer, not in plumbing, had a lot of very wealthy people that lived inside the facilities. We won't name names. And one of these wealthy individuals owns a publicly traded company. So it was easy to find that company. And he just acquired, a $16 million property, paid cash for it. And so I was like, I wonder how his company's doing. March 10th, his stock was $14. Before the COVID, it was averaging maybe 20. So not a big decline. But during COVID, his company announced some massively efficient way to, revolutionize cloud storage. It's a software company. And what had carried him before is if you hit enter on your keyboard, it speeds up your processes in your computer. So he was already a billionaire. Now, his stock went from 14 a share on March 10th, closed 2 days ago at $89 a share. So almost 900% in a month and a half. So I'm starting to see the kind of potential if you could sniff these out. But, if you don't know the guy, you don't clean his unit. And he's like, hey, we're going to be launching something that's pretty big next week. What should be insider trading? How do you sniff that out? So I'm going to use that one example because, I know the guy. I know we're on a first name basis. And he definitely didn't tell me, hey, buy my stock because we're going to launch, because no, right-minded founder of a tech company is going to lose his ability to be a publicly traded company by insider trading. But I'm going to use that
to a plumber.
Well, right. Because I'm pretty sure the SEC, if I threw down 200 grand the day before he announced some big news and made 900%, I'm pretty sure with the volume in the New York Stock Exchange, they're going to go, hey, because every big move like that, I'm sure the SEC regulators who do very well at their job, hey, let's see who benefited from this move. Oh, Clayton Allen. Man, that was a pretty heavy position for a plumber. Yeah, look, he made 900% in a month and a half during the worst economic downturn, in the last decade. Let's look into him. Oh, he works in the same building as the owner. Let's bring him in and interview him. But I want to use that example to really start dissecting how average Joe on the street can obtain what was happening on the chart before, what fundamental news came out, that if you were just on top of it, how you could have caught that ride, right? I mean, it's just like putting a spreadsheet on him. If I make 1% a week and I never lose and I compound it, I'll be a millionaire in 10 years. But that's the early stages of finding a strategy, and how can you find a $14 stock that's going to go to $90 in 2 months. So Bollinger Bands. So tonight, let me just share with our listeners, because I love them. So if you're in an uptrend,
email us at dtpshow@allenfx.com.
Yeah, if you guys, we'd love to hear from you. So it's pretty easy. If you pull up on a chart, you put Bollinger Bands on. Doesn't matter. Pick, one of the 28 currency pairs, majors or crosses. Put it on any time frame. You're going to see price respect those three lines like the Bible. Anytime it gets outside the upper or lower, it's not outside very long. Now it might flatten out, but if you start to look at where price, when it does go outside, gets back to that 20 period moving average, maybe not exactly where it was at when it went outside, but it typically wants to get back to that middle line. Now we can make the argument it's lagging. Yes, it is. It's just an indicator. It's taking the close of each candle. So the candle you're in, it's fair game, right? So if you're in a daily chart, you pretty much got to wait all day for that candle to close to see where it's going. But I like to plan my trades off of those lines. Another really good strategy is put Bollinger Bands on a daily chart. And when price is eking near that top or bottom line, then go down to a smaller time frame and start looking for trades only in that direction back to the mean. It only makes sense, right? You're planting seeds in highly probable areas because let's just face it, when something so common as Bollinger Bands or RSI or Fibonacci retracement levels, it's not like there's some secret magic going on. It's just everyone else is seeing the same thing, and it's overbought, and no one wants to be a banana head and buy when something's overbought. So that's why these indicators work. Everyone that's in these markets is using these same tools, and they're using the same fundamental laws of them. Now, don't get me wrong, false breakouts, price shooting above the Bollinger Bands, all these things happen, but those are like the psychological moves that are just, in my opinion, are trying to knock you out as a retail trader because they know we put way too big of positions on historically and statistically, and we put way too tight of stop losses. So that's why you get stopped out before the move happens. That's why if you're a breakout trader, you probably get super frustrated because you waited all day for price to shoot out above that level. And now it's broke out, and everyone tells me it broke out, so I got to trade in the direction of the breakout. Well, usually the first pullback from that breakout typically will go a little bit further than where you're taught to put your stop loss or that line. So that's why, you see me on my charts. I'm always drawing zones rather than a line. If it gets into the zone, I want to see what price action tells me at that zone. And, Bollinger Bands are the same way. That upper and lower bands, think of it as a zone. And you might find it's a very handy indicator. It tells you, just like your definition, right? It tells you when price is veered far from its mean, its norm, and, it's time for maybe a little recalibration. Or is it time to start looking at lots of money just flowed into this pair in this market or this instrument? Now, in equities, when you see a lot of money flowing into it, you want to get on the train and go with them. Forex is a little different because that could switch in a heartbeat. A tweet from Trump can really change things, which we all know. It's not going to really change Amazon's price.
It could change the yuan USD, or is it USD yuan?
Chinese?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that CHN?
CHN. Yeah, I don't trade that pair.
It's an exotic, right?
Yeah, it's exotic. It's just like the only exotic.
It's the peso.
The peso. That's the only one I've traded. The South African Rand USD I've traded before, but very little. But the peso and I kind of view the USD peso exactly like I view tequila. It's just
fun and dangerous.
Yes, it's
one hell of a hangover.
Yeah, you're like, we have all been there, right? When you're feeling a little good, you want to party a little bit, and someone brings out the bottle of tequila. I think
that's me, by the way. I'm the one who breaks it out.
Right, you're like, all right. First shot.
All
have
right.
you ever heard Jim Brewer's comedy bit where he talks about his stomach's like a bar?
Mm-mm.
And dude, you gotta listen to it because he goes on. He's like, it always starts out the same way. It's just like a bar. You got the bouncer, and he's like, a couple beers show up. He's like, all right, guys, you could come in and play. And then he's like, then some gin. Gin's like the hot girl that shows up. And then he's like, then it never fails in a night. Someone invites tequila. And they're like, oh man, come on, let me in, man. It's funny as hell. Yeah, the peso's like tequila. And, it's very fun. Starts out awesome, right?
Everybody's smiling.
Everyone's smiling.
The music's blasting.
And then it's like one trade too many. It just zaps you. And, I'm not a big fan of holding grudges on pairs. But, I mean, that pair, maybe it's because I thought I had figured out the combination of that pair. Every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And this was like a spinoff of the Rob Booker strategy with the peso. He was a big peso fan, by the way. He kind of led the horse to the trough there. And every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, an hour before the U.S. market opened, you would just look at what trend that pair was trending that night before. So if it was prices going up, say on an hourly chart, it's trending up. You would start to look for a double top, some sort of divergence reversal pattern right before. It was like I was guaranteed, on that pair, 60 pips is really 600 pips. And you were guaranteed like 150 to 600 pips every morning, 3 days in a row. And it was like working like clockwork. And I was like, dude, I'm going to retire off this one pair, this one thing. I never have to go any further I never have to learn what a Bollinger Band is. I never have to do anything. This is awesome. Just like any other banana head, you get more and more confident, more and more riskier. You start dreaming of 5% per trade. Then it was just like all of a sudden it didn't work. And of course, I didn't want to give up. So I basically gave back everything I ever won on that pair before I quit trading it. Just like the guy who's hot at blackjack. And, his wife's like, let's just go up to the room. You're way ahead. Let's just stop. And he's like, no, I'm hot. I got to just keep going. Oh, it's fine. I just lost 5 in a row. It's fine. And then next thing you know, everything one's gone, maybe a little bit more.
He's making that trip to the ATM.
Yeah. I wonder if I could get a cash advance on my credit card. Yeah, it's just, no. And then I tried some other breakout strategies with peso. I just got away from it. The spreads are too big. I mean, the brokers want you to trade it. Definitely. I mean, the spreads are huge on it. You got heavy swap. If you're trading short the US dollar, which, you get all caught up in the technicals, and you're like, let's short the dollar peso. And also you try to hold that trade for a while, you're paying pretty big swaps. That's the only exotic I've ever spent a lot of time on. Maybe one day I'll go back to the peso and maybe on a demo account.
Would you ever throw the Kepner channel on a USD peso?
The Kepner channel. So Kepner channels, I haven't used the Kepner channel, to be honest with you. A lot of people use it in parallel with Bollinger Bands, mostly to stay out of, let's just assume most people are trend traders. Okay, which most people are. And their whole existence is to stay out of choppy waters. The Kepner channel used with Bollinger Bands, or, if you've been staring at long enough, you could kind of just use Bollinger Bands. You can avoid sideways price action or choppy price action. So, if you're a trend trader, you're looking for a breakout in any direction. Typically, you'd want to confirm it's a new trend by waiting for a pullback and start looking for, an uptrend, higher highs and higher lows, or lower lows and lower highs, and for a downtrend. So then you would enter scale in positions on each pullback, in the perfect world. So you want to avoid sideways price, right? Or jumping in the trend too early, which all of us traders, we're all after the holy grail of, especially a trend trader. Oh, I want to get into the beginning of the trend and hold those positions to the end of the trend. So if I could just find the magic way, well, one of the ways, popular ways you use Bollinger Bands in the Kipner channel is you put them both on your chart. And if the Bollinger Bands are inside the channel, which would really mean the Bollinger Bands are really narrow, you stay away from trading that pair because you're not in a breakout. Now, what you want to do is you want to wait for price to skyrocket out of that scenario. And then they would, could be possibly a new trend, start of a new trend. So then you would go back to your trend trading strategies and try to find a good entry. Like I said, I'm not the trend trading. I don't gravitate to those strategies as much as I do looking for reversals of trends or reversion mean, which could be in the trend or, counter trend. There, I said it. Counter trend. Oh my God, you're going to be gone in a year. Do you like my Jim Gaffigan third person voice?
Are you happy with it?
No, I'm just trying to get something out of you. You're like staring in the wind over there.
I'm running the show here, bud.
Oh, with the wrong button pushed on the sound.
That's fair.
Just one show. One show will get all the stabs.
We had a pretty good week in the Journeyman channel. We had a few new subscribers.
Yeah.
The Journeyman onboarding process, when we get a new client.
Team member. Let's call them team members.
I don't do teamwork. Is just me walking through a video that you provided, how to take the service, get them hooked up on Facebook Live, and get the new member, make sure that he or she has had an appointment with you to go over the 30-minute free call with you. So when you sign up for the Journeyman channel, please know that I'm going to reach out to you. It takes 5 to 10 minutes for me to tell you and bring you on board. So thank you very much for joining. Just need 5 or 10 minutes, and then I'll leave you alone. Which, I think is important.
Right. How's that going, by the way?
It's going well. We found early on that you needed to make a video on how to take your signals, which was a funny oversight, which was requested by one of our early members, and we just thought, oh well, we should probably just do that. So you threw together a 17-minute video on a Saturday morning. In the community channel today, we had a sort of awkward situation. One of our very active users, one of our guys, posted stats about COVID. And we can get politics and opinions anywhere on the internet machine. So it's my job as moderator to keep us away from the politics and turn it into, what does it look like for investing? What does it look like for trading? And I never want to offend anybody on the political side, because as we've learned, our members and our audience are from both sides of the spectrum and everywhere in between, because it's about trading. It's about being together and sharing ideas,
right?
And not being preached to, because you can find that on Reddit and Twitter, and it's everywhere. And I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in how currencies are affected by fundamental news. I'm interested in how equities are affected by data releases. And I think that's what our audience wants.
Yeah. I mean, political positioning now, it's almost become like...
It's the first question on Tinder, isn't it?
Yes.
Or as you called it, Tender.
No, they're both tender. Like, Tinder is the night.
Nobody knows what that is.
It's spelled different.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just crazy to me because just scanning the playing field, it's like,
we're talking.
I'm not into racism.
We're talking about women. We're talking about women now.
Right. I'm not into racism or homophobic. So if you're conservative, just go on. It's like, wow, you just made the jump that if you're conservative, you're instantly homophobe or racist. Like, people don't even have any critical thought anymore.
And that's the other thing is
We're drawing lines and
Right.
we're standing on our side of the line. The problem is what I love about trading, the markets, the quest to becoming a good trader, it doesn't care what political side you're on, doesn't care if you're conservative, liberal, what race you are, doesn't care if you've even studied. It's like that awesome college teacher. It's like, I don't care if you come to this class. If you could show up, pass my tests, you get an A, just like old butt kisser over there that's in every class, raises his hand, answers every question. Some people hate that environment, by the way. Right? Like, it's unfair. How could he I never even knew that guy was in our class. Well, he got all the assignments done. Trading is the equalizer of all. The market is. It doesn't care if you even looked at the chart and just hit bot. It's going to move where it's going to go, and it's going to work for you. Now, I broke down the COVID chart like a trader. It's in a bullish flag pattern. And it was easily predictable. I think we even talked about on the show where I saw a meme in the trading forums I'm in where there's a huge spike up, and then if you broke it kind of into a pie chart or in a bar chart, it's a bullish flag pattern, and some guy posted it. He drew on it like we draw on charts. He's like, should I tell everyone what's coming next? And, he had the prediction arrow. That photo he posted in the channel, I'm like, yeah, I mean, it's a bullish flag pattern. It had to go up.
and it did.
And it did.
But the point is that the data and the news are relevant and interesting. Our opinion on the data and the news isn't so much on how it affects the currency pairs and how it affects the way that we're going to approach the market is what the channel is all about.
Right.
And bouncing ideas off each other.
Well,
and I speak for both of us when I say we don't give a shit about where we are politically because that's not what we want to talk about in the community channel.
Well,
So everyone is welcome except for spammers. You can go to hell.
Well, and
We haven't gotten a spammer in a while.
no, although on my Allen FX social trading Facebook group, which I started long before you were involved, I got asked for someone to join it today, and it was like the typical suit and tie, like I'm looking so professional. I'm waiting for the spam.
You should drink beer on your podcast, yeah.
You know what really bothers me, if we're going to go down that spam for a moment, is generally, I'm over 12,000 followers on LinkedIn. And generally that platform, it's genuine people reaching out to you or people just making good connections for jobs or whatever. Well, now I've started getting the, hello, where are you from?
I've gotten that too. It
On
started for me.
LinkedIn.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh, no.
Good connections for jobs. I work for a company called Colorado Mechanical in Centennial, Colorado Mechanical Systems. And we need tenners and plumbers. Look at this, free plug for my company.
There you go.
We need apprentices and journeymen and foremen who are tenners. And we need apprentices, journeymen, and foremen who are plumbers.
It's not tenners, dude. It's sheet metal workers.
Well, what's a tenor?
That's what a plumber calls a sheet metal.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so if you're
I
trying to
apologize.
hire tenners,
I apologize to my HVAC buddies.
it's pretty much like you said. We need turd herders and
Can I call them HVAC guys?
Well, HVAC guys usually someone who puts the refrigeration. They're like techs, but yeah, okay.
I apologize.
HVAC guy would be like service sheet metal.
We need sheet metal workers who are apprentices, journeymen, and especially foremen. Anyway, look us up, Colorado Mechanical Systems. That's coloradomech.com/employment. That's becoming a thing, by the way. There is a journeyman shortage in this state, in Colorado for sure. But I assume that's throughout the country.
Yeah,
it turns out that
quality help's really hard to find.
Here's a bit of career advice that you didn't ask for. Junior members of society, finding your way, who have determined that you want to live by yourself, by your own rules. If you just show up and you work and you bitch about work after work and not during work, I promise you'll be successful.
Yeah. Especially in construction.
Just
show up sober.
It's gonna suck for a while, but by the time you get to 35 and 40, it's gonna be awesome. And a lot of people can't wait that long, and I get it.
Well, it's just like trading, right? Everyone wants to be a millionaire
right
on
now.
Their $1,000 account right now. And it's been done. You know, a lot of people think my story is unbelievable, but it didn't come overnight. It didn't come easy, and there was no shortcuts. Today, I building the website for the course. I have to keep telling myself, it's part of the process. Just enjoy the process. But it's like I'm so close, and then I run into a snag. I try it 3 or 4 angles. Then I have to do the whole help bot, the little bot. I'm having trouble with the pay app. Oh, someone will be with you shortly. So then it's going to be like 4 hours. Then they respond when I'm busy doing something else. Then it's like, oh, I'm gone now. So tomorrow. So it's that. I'm so close. Right there. It's been one hell of a process too. I could have easily just paid someone and I wouldn't have gone through the process. And if this grows the way I hope it grows and I attract the kind of people that I want to help and attract, I want to know the process. Who knows? Maybe one day I'll be giving advice how to build websites. I doubt it.
Probably not.
Probably not. Because I misspell every other word. And
that's why you have a guy, bud.
I have to have Matt put the periods in. But yeah, you got to enjoy the process. And trading is no different. If you tell yourself, this is something new, something foreign, something that has massive upside potential if I can manage to practice delayed gratification and understand you're playing in a world that has far less rules than any other job you've taken. There's no HR department that you could go bitch at because someone it yelled at you.
Was mean to you. Right.
Oh, well, it was supposed to go back to the 20-period moving average. It didn't. It's not fair. There's no participation trophy. Sorry. But if you thrive in that kind of environment, trading might be something you'd be good at. I was a wrestler and played many other sports, but I always loved that sport because of the pride you got when you won. Now, when you lost, it hurt a lot more because let's just face it, they try to make wrestling a team sport. They track team points. So you're like, oh, Frederick won, beat Longmont in a duel. But let's just face it, it's you and the guy that weighs as much as you or girl on the mat. So if you lose, you don't get to go, well, the running back fumbled on the line. It's all you, which I loved because when I won, no one else got, it wasn't like when they saw you in the restaurant Sunday morning. Hey, hell of a game. You guys really kicked their butt. No, if someone saw your wrestling match, like you kicked that guy's butt.
Nobody went to your wrestling matches.
There's a few groupies.
Have you stopped chewing yet?
No.
I recall giving you shit September of last year about you dipping and you being committed to quitting on Independence Day. And I gave you shit last year for not calling it Independence Day. Have you quit yet?
No.
Do you have any desire to?
Yeah, I do. It's just become a filthy, disgusting habit.
Seeds, bud. It took me 6 times to quit.
Sunflower seeds?
Yeah.
Oh, they make my mouth so raw.
Switch sides, bud. That brings us to...
I'm not switching sides.
Cookout season started Memorial Day. It's been going every weekend now. We can't tailgate because there's nothing to tailgate at. But every year, it's not discussed enough. Proper barbecue etiquette. All right.
I like where you're going with this.
You should. I think about stuff. Beer.
Beer.
What beer do you bring to a barbecue?
Depends on where I'm going. If I'm going back to my hometown,
Okay.
I'll bring Bush.
And what are you consuming? You bring the Bush, you put it in the cooler. What are you consuming?
I'll have a Bush or two, but I'm getting kind of bloated in my older age with beer. And I'm trying to lose weight, which I've lost 30 pounds, by the way.
Nobody asked. We're talking about beer.
I've kind of switched to White Claws and Bud Light seltzers.
You're doing this in front of other men.
Yeah, okay. I'm very confident in my masculinity, Matt.
What do you say when you see a guy bring PBR, Milwaukee's Beast, and pull out a Stella? What does that conversation look like?
So you bring the crap and you brought the sixer for what you want?
You level up your consumption, right?
Yeah.
Do you call them out?
I honestly,
I
don't pay that much attention to what people are bringing.
You just don't invite them back?
Now, if it's a repetitive problem, right? Like, hey, dude, let's have a barbecue at your house. And you're the one that bought the steaks the last 5 times, right? And this guy brought the hot dogs. And you're like, come on, dude. You know, when are you going to pitch in? So then usually here's how we call that person out. If it becomes a repetitive problem, then you're like, okay, dude, we're going to have brisket on this day, but you're buying the brisket, right? I'll smoke it, but you're going to buy the $120 brisket. So where he thought he was getting away with the cheap hot dogs 5 times in a row, now he gets, he gets caught with now you're going to fund the big time barbecue. Does that make sense?
Have you ever had anyone flake out when been given that assignment?
No, because usually, the people I hang out with, if they get called out, they're
embarrassed.
Not so much embarrassed. They're not going to miss, because then the next time it's going to be really bad.
Do you know that I don't forgive anybody, and that's a fault?
Yeah, you hold grudges for years,
decades.
I mean, talking from a guy who thought it was funny to not tell anyone he was having a kid up until, hey, my wife's in labor. I got to go. What? You're having another baby?
I'm a position trader.
Right.
The grill.
All
right. So you brought the Stella. You're drinking a Boddington's, which is, that's a fair.
What's Boddington's?
We had Boddington's a few weeks ago.
Okay.
Botties.
All right.
It's the yellow can. You screwed up the pour. I had to pour it for you. It was a whole thing.
I don't think that's how.
You're having a good time. You're seeing your buddies. You're watching everyone's wonderful kids, beautiful children just play the way it's supposed to be, the way summer's supposed to be. And you're watching your guy on the grill, and you know that he's not cooking it right. Let's say he has ribs on there.
Oh, ribs are a certain way.
I know. I'm aware. Okay, let's just go hamburger, because ribs it's a different level. And he's cooking hamburger, and you know that it's going to be burnt. Do you say anything?
I don't think so.
Never. You never say anything.
Yeah.
It's not your place. It's not your house. It's not your grill.
Yeah, I was going to ask, I need a little more intel, because if I'm at another man's house and he's grilling,
yep,
I stay out of it.
What if he can't find his helper, whether that's his kid or his wife, and he needs to go get another plate, and he leaves, and now the thing's on fire? What do you do?
If it's on fire, I'll get involved. But when he comes back, I'll be like, I only got involved because it needed immediate attention.
See, I disagree. I think you just move it farther from the house. And you just let it burn. It's not your place.
Well, dude, I'm not going to no. I would expect, one, I'd never put myself in a scenario if I'm grill master where I got to leave to where things could be on fire. Sorry. I planned better.
What if What if he tells you to look after whatever and flip it in 3 minutes?
Well,
Or
if
in a
I get
minute?
asked to take over, I'm just going to take over.
Okay.
But not if it's already too far gone. I'm going to make it known that, hey, I didn't start this mess. They're already burned, dude.
Yep.
You know, because I don't want everyone at the party to be like, who grilled? Oh, Clayton.
When he gives it to you and it's burned, what do you say?
Thank you.
That's right. Only when he asks, how is it, you say it's burned, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
I don't know, dude. You're bringing up things that haven't happened in a long time.
All right. I'm just asking because,
I got one for you.
All right.
You go over to your buddy's house.
I don't have many friends, but I'll play along.
Okay. It's known it's a barbecue, and his wife is on the barbecue. And
You pivot and walk out.
well, and because, I know some very good women barbecuers, but she's out of her element. Her body language is off. Like he's just a total dick who left his, because the woman cooks, right? Unless it's outside. But for whatever reason, this couple, say you met him at work and he's like, hey man, come over for a barbecue. And he knows he's going to bomb it. So he's like, I can't deal with that shame. So I'm just going to tell my wonderful, bubbly wife to barbecue. Do you take over in that instance?
No.
Do you save her?
No. Only if she asks.
Well, what if she's asking through body language? Like, well, I guess I'll barbecue.
You get your wife to ask her if she needs help. That's the play.
See, I think I'd be like, hey, can I help out? Do you want me to run the grill?
Nope. Not today. Maybe 50 years ago.
I will tell you.
Not today.
It takes 1 or 2 times to get to know a grill.
Sure.
Right? They all have different heat to...
They burn differently. Sure.
Right. So when you got to take over on another man's grill, you're like, wait a minute. I'm going on uncharted territory here.
Seinfeld covered this when George gave a God bless you on a date to another man's wife or girlfriend. My point is that you get your wife involved and then you do it very politically and very carefully.
So what? It's not polite. Like if I'm with my significant other and you're with your wife and she sneezes, I got to let my wife tell your wife?
No, it doesn't matter. You don't do shit. You don't do anything.
So I don't say anything.
No.
Now, if my wife goes, oh, bless you.
That's okay.
But if I go, oh, bless you, I'm crossing a line.
And I'm sat there and maybe I'm chewing. You have to give me the right of first refusal.
Well, what if I pause for a second and you don't say anything?
You still don't say shit.
I have to just let it go down.
You have to let it go.
I'm going to be an asshole with you.
That also means that you disassociate yourself from me.
What if you don't open the door for your wife? And I'm watching this happen, and should I just not open the door for her? Is that the same thing?
That one you can give me shit about.
So I can be like, dude.
What the hell is your problem?
Or you ever been walking through the woods and the dickhead in front of you doesn't hold the tree branch as he's going through it, knowing you're right behind him? So it's like...
Dude, guys together are different. When you have the woman...
I'm talking about like a dude walking in front of his woman.
Yeah.
And she's following him. And he's obviously pushing the tree branches sideways. And we all know what physics is going to happen. And he just lets it smack his... Like, that's a dick move.
Yeah, well, then you say something.
Right. Same thing with the door, dude. And quite honestly, Seinfeld's not always right.
You shut your mouth.
I'm going to say bless you if you're obviously not.
What if I'm chewing?
I'll give you...
What if I'm chewing? Right to first refusal and you don't say shit.
That's you.
You don't say shit on God bless you. What you do is you nudge your girl. Right. With the elbow.
So I know we went down a couple rabbit holes. Like Matt mentioned, if you guys want in on this free hour of whatever training I come up with that week, go on over to allenfx.com, jump on, fill out the form. I don't send BS emails. Quite honestly, we don't send enough emails to people that reached out to us. But you could get links to both the free and the paid service. The paid service is where you get the free training and my signals. And here really soon, guys and gals, the courses will be ready and the site will be up. So if you want to be on the first lists that we're generating now, you want to get in on the early pricing of those, jump on over allenfx.com, fill out the form, get on those lists, because we will be sending emails to the people that have already reached out, eager to take these courses with special pricing for those. And, I'm looking at maybe another week, right, Matt? Another week. We got to get it done.
Got to get it done.
The content's done. Then I'll start working on the masterclass, which will be all about automation and how to run EA systems. And it's going to be wonderful.
Happy birthday, America. Happy freaking birthday. Thank you very much for listening. Please join us next week.
Over and out.
If you'd like to learn more about Clayton signals, please visit www.allenfx.com. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Telegram at OFPMatt.